Ever notice how some people hit rock bottom financially and somehow rebuild everything? Same bills, same economy, but their life slowly turns around. So what changed? It wasn't luck, and it wasn't a sudden raise. It was something most people never see: the psychology of rebuilding money. Because when someone truly turns their finances around, the shift doesn't start in their bank account. It starts in their patterns. The way they think. The way they react to spending. The habits they quietly stop repeating. In this video, you'll discover the psychology behind people who rebuild their financial life. And the first shift? It's the moment most people finally stop sabotaging their own progress. Something shifts the moment someone stops running from the numbers. Once a week, they sit down with a notebook, a pen, and total honesty. No fancy apps, no automation doing the thinking. Just raw awareness of personal finance and the reality of their money habits. This weekly ritual might feel uncomfortable at first, but that's exactly where real financial education begins. When someone sees every dollar clearly, patterns start jumping out. Suddenly those random takeout orders or late-night online purchases make sense. That's where financial psychology kicks in, showing how habits quietly shape the bank balance. It's a little like that moment in the movie The Matrix when Neo finally chooses the red pill. Reality might sting for a second, but clarity is power. In the same way, facing the numbers gives someone control over their personal finance instead of letting money quietly control them. And here's the wild part: once someone starts seeing the truth about their finances, something deeper shows up. It's not just about money anymore. Because the real breakthrough begins when someone realizes that past mistakes don't define who they are, and that realization changes everything in the next step. Something powerful happens when a person stops saying "I am bad with money" and starts saying "I made some bad financial decisions." That tiny shift changes the entire game of personal finance. Debt becomes a situation to solve, not an identity to carry. And in financial psychology, that separation is one of the most important breakthroughs someone can make. A lot of people stay stuck not because they lack finance tips or financial education, but because shame quietly locks them in place. When someone believes they are the problem, they stop trying. But when they realize money habits can be rebuilt like any other skill, suddenly learning how to make money and manage it feels possible again. It's kind of like Tony Stark in Iron Man. At the beginning, he's dealing with the consequences of his own past choices. But he doesn't spend the whole movie saying, "I'm a failure." He owns the mistake, learns from it, and rebuilds something better. That same mindset is what shifts someone from financial regret into real progress. And once someone stops attacking themselves for past money mistakes, something interesting begins to grow quietly in the background. A new kind of trust starts forming, not with banks or investments yet, but with themselves. And that self-trust is exactly what allows the next small daily promise to actually stick. Rebuilding a financial life rarely starts with a giant breakthrough. It usually starts with one tiny promise kept today. Something simple like cooking at home instead of ordering delivery, or skipping that random late-night online purchase. Small money habits might look boring, but they quietly rebuild the foundation of strong personal finance. Research in financial psychology shows that consistency beats intensity almost every time. Someone who saves $5 a day builds more discipline than someone who saves $500 once and disappears. Over a year, that simple habit becomes $1,825, and more importantly, it rewires the brain around how to make money grow instead of disappear. Think about the training scenes in Rocky. Rocky didn't wake up one day suddenly strong enough to fight the champion. He ran every morning, punched the bag, climbed those steps again and again. Personal finance works the same way. Small daily discipline builds financial strength that flashy shortcuts never deliver. But here's where it gets interesting. Even the strongest habits can collapse if the environment keeps pulling someone back into old patterns. That's why the next shift isn't about willpower at all. It's about redesigning the surroundings so smart money habits become easier than bad ones. At some point, someone rebuilding their financial life realizes something surprising. Discipline alone isn't the real strategy. Environment is. Instead of fighting temptation every day, they quietly start removing it. fewer shopping apps, fewer promotional emails, fewer situations that trigger old money habits. This is one of the most overlooked finance tips in financial psychology. Studies on behavior design show that people succeed more when friction works in their favor. Unsubscribing from marketing emails, deleting shopping apps, or avoiding certain stores can cut impulse spending by 20 to 30% without relying on constant willpower. It's kind of like Spider-Man: Homecoming. Peter Parker becomes stronger not because he keeps testing himself around danger, but because he learns when to step back and think strategically. Personal finance works the same way. Smart environments protect your future while your discipline is still growing. When someone builds an environment that supports their financial education and money mindset, progress becomes smoother. But even after removing temptation, another challenge appears quietly in the background. Because sometimes the urge to spend has nothing to do with money at all, it comes from emotion. Sooner or later, someone rebuilding their financial life notices something uncomfortable. A lot of spending was never about the product. It was about the feeling behind it. Stress after a long day, boredom on a quiet weekend, insecurity after scrolling social media. Personal finance often reveals emotional patterns long before it reveals money strategies. That's where financial psychology becomes a game changer. Instead of asking what should I buy right now, the better question becomes what am I actually feeling? Sometimes it's stress from work, sometimes loneliness, sometimes just mental exhaustion. Learning to sit with those emotions instead of spending them is one of the most powerful money habits anyone can develop. Think about the character Ted Lasso in the series Ted Lasso. He constantly pauses and chooses emotional awareness instead of reacting blindly. That same pause can change someone's entire financial future. Taking a walk, calling a friend, journaling for 10 minutes, or even doing a quick workout can replace a $50 impulse purchase. Once someone learns to process emotions instead of spending them, their relationship with money starts calming down. But something even more interesting begins happening next. The mind slowly shifts from asking what can I buy today, to a much more powerful question about how money can actually grow. Something changes when someone stops asking, what can I buy with this money, and starts asking, what can this money become? That shift is the heartbeat of a powerful money mindset. Even $20 stops looking small when someone understands the basics of personal finance and how compounding works over time. A lot of beginners think investing only starts with thousands of dollars, but that's one of the biggest myths in financial education. Someone who invests $20 a week into something simple like an S&P 500 index fund can build serious momentum. Over 20 years, steady contributions combined with average market growth can turn small habits into tens of thousands of dollars. It's similar to the story arc in The Pursuit of Happiness. Chris Gardner doesn't suddenly jump into wealth overnight. What makes the difference is how he starts thinking long-term even when resources are limited. That same mindset helps someone move from consumption toward building assets that actually generate money. And once a person begins thinking like an investor, their relationship with money becomes deeper than just growth or profit. Because eventually they start realizing something even bigger about responsibility. The way someone handles small amounts today quietly predicts what they'll do when bigger opportunities arrive. At the deepest level of financial rebuilding, something shifts beyond strategies and finance tips. A person begins to see money as something entrusted to them, not just something to spend. That perspective changes everyday decisions in personal finance. Small amounts stop feeling insignificant because they're treated with respect and intention. There's an old principle in Luke 16 verse 10 that says whoever is faithful with little will also be faithful with much. In financial psychology, that idea shows up constantly. People who carefully manage $50 often become the same people who wisely manage $50,000 later. Money habits practiced in small moments quietly shape future outcomes. It's similar to what happens in The Karate Kid. Mr. Miyagi has Daniel do small, repetitive tasks like wax on, wax off. At first it feels pointless. But later those small disciplines become powerful skills. Personal finance works the same way. Respecting small amounts today builds the discipline required for larger opportunities tomorrow. When someone truly embraces stewardship, financial education stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like responsibility with purpose. And that's when rebuilding a financial life stops being about survival and starts becoming about transformation, which brings us back to the bigger picture behind this entire journey. Remember how overwhelming it can feel when money seems out of control? The stress, the quiet guilt after bad spending decisions, the feeling that no matter how hard someone works, progress just doesn't show up. But now something has shifted. The patterns are clearer, the money habits are stronger, and personal finance no longer feels like a mystery, it feels like a skill that can be mastered. If this perspective on financial psychology and financial education opened your eyes even a little, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next finance tips that could completely transform the way you think about money and how to make money work for you. Now here's the real question. What would happen if someone applied these ideas consistently for the next 12 months? Imagine stronger money habits, clearer financial decisions, less stress around bills, and real progress in building stability. Personal finance changes when someone stops reacting to money and starts directing it with intention. If you're ready to go deeper, there's a powerful resource designed to help you rebuild both your mindset and your finances step by step. In the material holistic health, nourish your mind, balance your finances, transform your life, you'll learn how to create sustainable income streams, eliminate destructive spending patterns, develop a resilient money mindset, and maintain mental clarity even under financial pressure. Click the link in the pinned comment and start transforming your financial life today. Check out the material in the pinned comment.